Now y'all know my spirit would not let me rest until I had a chance to sop up some of all of the juice that is spilling out all over the place out of this juicy Georgia Fani Willis peach after her and her lover made such a damn fool out of themselves on national TV trying to keep all of this mess brushed underneath the rug.
But you would go to the East Point condo, correct?
What East Point condo?
East Point, Hateville, something like that.
I've never been to East Point with Miss Willis.
You've never gone to a condo in either the East Point or Hateville area with Miss Willis.
Wait, that's different. I have gone to a condo in Hateville.
Okay. So Hateville.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have gone to a condo with Miss Willis in Hateville.
I have.
Have you spent the night there?
Never.
Never spent the night?
Never.
Did Mr. Wade ever visit you at the condo that you leased from Miss Yurdi?
He visited that condo, yes.
He did.
Yes.
Did he ever spend the night at that condo?
No.
Just visited.
Yeah, but he did visit for sure.
Got all the raw data and we had him narrow down, and we actually excluded a ton of things that were not right on top of this location. Like, we wanted to be very, very careful just to have what was literally right on top of this location. So he created a geolocation fence, which...
The location you're talking about is Miss Yurdi's condo?
Yes,
Okay.
It is Miss Yurdi's condo, that area. So he was able to find, essentially, just to summarize a couple of the things, where Mr. Wade would call Miss Willis at midnight, something like that. And then all of a sudden his phone would travel, and you can actually watch it. When you do the live Cellhawk, the app, it's pretty cool. You can actually watch the phone travel, and it's pinging because you're using it. If you have an app open, your phone's pinging. So my phone's pinging right now because I'm sure I have an app open. So it's pinging from his house all the way down to the condo at midnight, 1 a.m. And he calls her when he gets there. And then it goes silent for 4 or 5 hours. And then, early in the morning hours, he starts pinging again, driving back, and then he texts her when he gets home.
Now, that's what you call a booty call. I mean, in case you didn't know. Oh, but anyway, y'all, let me stay focused because I will also analyze the multiple layers of what seem to be flat out lies, allegedly, that were told during the testimony of these so-called lawyers on the witness stand in a court of law?
Prior to when you filed for divorce in November 2021, you would use Mr. Bradley's credit card to pay for things with Miss Willis, correct? And then pay him back in cash.
I've never used Mr. Bradley's credit card.
You've never used his credit card?
Never.
Back to your uncovering the relationship.
Yes,
How did
yes.
you figure it out?
So Terrance Bradley was Nathan Wade's law partner originally. Mr. Bradley essentially went through the whole thing and said, well, this is what's really happening.
Did you get other details from him by phone?
Yes.
That wasn't in the text? What did he?
One thing that he told me was that Mr. Wade had, before he filed for divorce, had used Mr. Bradley's credit card and then paid him back in cash for, so that there wouldn't be a record of it.
Hi there, I'm Professor Blackmore, and I want to welcome you back to my channel. And today, I got a juicy, tasty morsel on today's docket that has had this courthouse internet on pure D fire. And that is the case of Fulton County DA Fani Willis and her lover Nathan Wade, who are the attorneys in charge of the Georgia criminal state court case against Donald Trump. And it has come to the attention of the attorneys for Donald Trump and his co-defendants that there are some irregularities regarding Sister Fani and Brother Wade's relationship that create a conflict that violate the defendants' constitutional rights in the case, such that Sister Fani and Brother Wade and the entire DA's office should be disqualified from further pursuing this case, and or that this case should be dismissed altogether. Now, this is such a tangled up mess that it took a massive amount of time to try to go through and untangle all of the filibustering testimony designed to confuse and all of the blatant lies, 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 allegedly. And now, if I had a penny for every time that somebody in the comment section of this channel called me messy, I would be rich, y'all. But I ain't got nothing on the person in this Fani mess that I think got me beat on being messy. And that is the Atlanta Fulton Cobb County Courthouse gossip. Because none of this Fani mess would never have been uncovered if it had not been for this messy individual who I love more than I can say. Because he had all of the Atlanta tea, honey child, and he did not hesitate to spill all of it. And he knew everything about everybody, and he had bona fide receipts. And I'm talking about none other than the former law partner and friend of Sister Fani's lover, Nathan Wade, his former friend, Terrance Bradley, Esquire. And so, after wrestling back and forth, trying to untangle all of this mess, I discovered that the best thing to do is to go back to the very beginning of where all of this mess started, as per the resident courthouse gossip, Brother Bradley himself.
Back to your uncovering the relationship.
Yes,
How did
yeah.
you figure it out?
So Terrance Bradley was Nathan Wade's law partner originally. Mr. Bradley essentially went through the whole thing and said, well, this is what's really happening. I had a notepad and I took notes on all the things to ask for open records.
So what did he say was really happening when he said this is what's happening?
He said that they met at a judicial conference before, he was very specific that it was before she became DA, because that was one of the things that he couldn't remember when the judicial conference was, but he knew that it was before she became DA.
When did she become DA?
She became DA in, it would have been January 2021.
Okay.
So she became DA January 1st, 2021, but she had a transition team leading up to that. So, and Mr. Wade was in charge of her transition team. So Mr. Bradley told me all of that. We met for about an hour. Said that they had been together. They met at this conference, that they had been dating before. And he told me, they met at hotels. He would go to her place. And I remember him saying, you need to find her bestie who they had a falling out. That's the person whose condo it was that they would meet at. And
did you later determine who that bestie was?
Yes, it was Robin Yeardy. It was not until sometime later that I determined that. It was very difficult to determine who that was because he did not remember her name. But
he knew her by sight?
He did.
Did he later confirm to you or identify who she was?
Yes. So I had sent him a couple pictures, or showed him a couple pictures of some other folks or
this
names.
Was in January of 24, right before your motion?
It was. It may have even been after I filed the motion. It was around the time. It was either before or around the time, but it was in January. I had gotten some open records requests from the DA's office. They had a contract. Yep.
We just put on the screen some of the
perfect.
text messages that you produced to us.
Yes.
This is from your phone.
It is. And so
you're talking to Terrance Bradley, I see over there on the left.
Yes, and so when you see on the 14th, that one that's right in the middle that says file attachment with MIME type, that is a picture of her. So it doesn't show up on this, but it's actually, there's a picture of
So
Ms.
while
Yeardy.
you're texting, you're shooting him a picture to see if he can identify Robin Yeardy?
Yes.
Did he identify her?
He did, yes. He said, yes, that's her, that's the East Point. And he thought the apartment was in East Point. I later found out it was in Hapeville, but those are very close in close areas.
So he knew they would meet at that apartment?
He did, yes. He knew all about it.
Okay, so that's where basically Miss Willis and Mr. Wade would meet for their relationship.
Yes.
So, Fani becomes DA on January the 1st, 2021. But Mr. Wade is in charge of Fani Willis's transition team. Now, I don't know about you, but she seems to put him in charge of everything, allegedly. But I guess that ain't none of my business, y'all. But what we do know is they knew each other pretty well prior to January the 1st, 2021, because Mr. Wade is in charge of her transition team as Fani is making plans to enter the Fulton County District Attorney's office. Now, there's crackerjack lawyer representing one of the Trump co-defendants, Miss Ashleigh Merchant, with her equally messy but clever self, along with Mr. Messy Brother Bradley, have determined that the key to proving how well they knew each other, if you know what I mean, is to track down Fani's friend from whom she rented a condo in Hapeville, Georgia. And it did in fact come to pass that Sister Merchant had the opportunity to question Fani's bestie live and in court on national TV.
Yes. So you had a chance to see them interact together on a personal level.
Yes.
And so from everything that you saw, heard, witnessed, it's your understanding that they were in a romantic relationship beginning in 2019.
Yes.
She took over your lease in April 1st, 2020, correct?
No, 2021.
Okay, I had it both ways, so I'm glad you clarified. So when she took over your lease in April 1st, 2021, it's your understanding she moved out of the house that she was sharing with her father and started staying at the condo.
Yes.
And is it your understanding that that's because she needed to have her own space?
Yes.
Away from her father?
Yes.
Okay. When you left the DA's office, was it, were you fired?
No, I resigned.
You resigned, okay. What was happening that caused you to resign?
It was a spiral of things. So, I guess the last straw is I was put in a department that I knew had no knowledge about. Something happened, and I didn't like it. They didn't like it, and that was it.
Okay. Did you have any falling outs with Miss Willis?
Well, we never spoke after that.
You never spoke after that, okay. And so you're, without going into all the painstaking details, there's no doubt in your mind that from 2019 until 2022, Miss Willis and Mr. Wade were in a romantic relationship.
What's the question?
You have no doubt that their romantic relationship was in effect from 2019 until the last time you spoke with her?
No doubt.
Okay. And that's based on your personal observations and speaking with them and seeing them together and things like that?
Yes.
Okay. No other.
And now, I can't tell y'all how much I love this woman. I mean, I am completely obsessed with these eyeglasses. And the eyeglass chain, it is all speaking directly to my soul. But now, we can see that because Fani is living in her home in South Fulton with her father, she can't really do the level of sneaking around that she really wanted to do with her married lover, allegedly. But in my opinion, notwithstanding whatever happened between Sister Yurty and Sister Fani, I have no doubt about whether Sister Yurty is telling the truth or not, because she just strikes me as a tell it like it tis kind of person. But I'll let you decide who you believe, Sister Fani and her lover or Sister Yurty.
I just want to make sure that we're clear. From at least 2020, me and Mr. Wade were friends. At least that time period.
Okay, I'm not talking about.
So no. I want to be clear because my credibility is being evaluated here, right? We were friends. We hung out prior to November of 2021. In November of 2021, I hired him. I do not consider our relationship to have become romantic until early of 2022. Because I don't know a date and time, I'm saying sometime between February and April of 2022, and very early April of 2022, because I know that trip that I discussed with you was like the first week of 2022, that the relationship had become romantic. I hope that answered your question, but I can't have it where, we're saying something differently.
When did your romantic relationship with Miss Willis begin?
2022.
When in 2022?
Early 2022.
So you were appointed in November of 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
And your relationship started early. What's early? January? February?
Around March.
Around March. But you two met at an October 2019 judicial conference, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And describe your relationship at that point then.
Which point?
2019.
So I was at a judicial conference to teach a course, if you will, to newer judges. I did that in 2019. As I was exiting the conference, another judge was standing outside who was a friend of mine. I stopped and exchanged pleasantries with her. And standing, talking to her at the time was then Judge Willis. She introduced us at that time. We shook hands, exchanged business cards, and I got into my vehicle and left the conference. So that meeting was probably 3 minutes.
When was the next time you talked to her?
Didn't talk to her again probably maybe a month or a month and a half had gone by.
Okay, so you talked to her November maybe?
Maybe.
On the phone?
On the phone.
Okay. How regularly did you speak with her in 2021 on the phone?
In 2021?
I'm sorry, 2019, I'm so sorry. 2019, how frequently did you speak with her on the phone?
2019, after the meeting, I probably talked to her 2 or 3 times.
Notwithstanding the fact that they want to make everybody believe that their romance didn't start until 2022, clearly it seems possible that we can piece together some of the booty calls that took place beginning in April of 2021 when Sister Fani took over the Robert Yearty Hapeville Love Nest lease, allegedly. But where did the alleged booty calls that possibly took place from 2019 to 2021 occur if they were in fact in a romantic relationship beginning in 2019?
Did you get other details from him by phone?
Yes.
That wasn't in the text. What did he?
A garage door opener that Mr. Wade had a garage door opener, and then I've subsequently learned that he told Mr. Aurora the same thing.
Garage door opener to her place?
To her place.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to her place. There were other things, just a lot of context, things about how freely Mr. Wade could go in and out of the office, the DA's office, stuff about that they would sometimes use hotels. One thing that he told me was that Mr. Wade had, before he filed for divorce, had used Mr. Bradley's credit card and then paid him back in cash so that there wouldn't be a record of it.
Okay.
Now, I agree that this is pure hearsay, and I don't even want to waste your time by trying to go through all of the ways that Brother Bradley twisted himself into a pretzel when it was time for him to testify. So that testimony was just too tangled up of a mess for me to try to untangle. But I'll let you decide whether you believe whether Brother Bradley ever said this to Sister Merchant or not.
Prior to when you filed for divorce in November 2021, you would use Mr. Bradley's credit card to pay for things with Miss Willis, correct? And then pay him back in cash.
I've never used Mr. Bradley's credit card.
You've never used his credit card?
Never.
For transactions to anything with Miss Willis, out to dinner, anything like that? Hotels?
I've never used Mr. Bradley's credit card. I've never used anyone else's credit card. Not even my father's, and we have the same name.
And you'd pay back, if you ever did use someone's credit card, you'd pay back in cash, is that correct?
Ma'am, I've never used someone else's credit card.
Now notice how shocked he was to learn that Sister Merchant had that kind of detail about him, allegedly using Brother Bradley's credit card to cover up his booty calls. It tells you everything you need to know. And now that we can see how possibly they were able to sneak around unbeknownst to everybody using Brother Bradley's credit card between 2019 in early 2021, let's see how easy or difficult it will be to ascertain if we can get Sister Fani and Brother Wade to substantiate the booty calls that may have taken place after the acquisition of the Yearty Hapeville Love Nest.
But you would go to the East Point condo, correct?
What East Point condo?
East Point, Hapeville, something like that.
I've never been to East Point with Miss Willis.
You've never gone to a condo in either the East Point or Hapeville area with Miss Willis.
Wait, that's different. I have gone to a condo in Hapeville.
Okay. So Hapeville.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have gone to a condo with Miss Willis in Hapeville.
I have.
Have you spent the night there?
Never.
Never spent the night.
Never.
Is that the condo that was rented by Robin Yearty?
I believe it was.
So in 2020, so you said 2019, 2020, did Mr. Wade ever visit you at a place that you
He
resided?
has never been to my home in South Fulton. 2020 was before I knew that a phone call was going to be made and I was going to have to abandon my home. As a result thereof, he never visited, lived at, came to, or has seen South Fulton.
You qualified that with your home in South Fulton.
That's where I lived in 2020.
2020, did he ever visit you at a place that you resided?
Okay. I don't understand you about to give me guys. In 2020, I lived in South Fulton.
Okay.
That's the only place I lived in South Fulton. That's before I had to abandon my home, Judge.
All right.
And at my home in
we're
South
gonna clarify
Fulton,
this. We'll break it down.
he never came there, okay? So if you don't come someplace, you can't live there.
Ms. Willis, I'm going to have to caution you. That's going to be the first time I have to caution you. We have to listen to the questions as asked. And if this happens again and again, I'm going to have no choice but to strike your testimony. So, we need to break this down. Ms. Merchant's question, I believe, is asking whether you lived anywhere other than South Fulton.
I did not live anywhere but South Fulton, Georgia in 2020. That is before I began my prosecution of this case, and it was my plan to only live there.
Did Mr. Wade ever visit you at the condo that you leased from Miss Yearty?
He visited that condo, yes.
He did.
Yes.
Did he ever spend the night at that condo?
No.
Just visited.
Yeah, but he did visit for sure.
Yes, indeed, Sister Fani. Now, that was hot, boo. But I just think that people should not protest so much if they want you to believe their lies, allegedly. Because she got a little bit too hot for my taste on that point. And the way that Brother Wade answered was quite strange as well. But I guess that ain't none of my business. But now that Fani and her newly divorced lover are in lockstep in their efforts to make sure that no one will think they were in a romantic relationship in 2021, since they want everyone to believe that the relationship did not begin until 2022, because between 2019 and 2021, they want us to believe they never spent the night together. Let's see if you believe what they are saying or not.
But what we had our investigator do was narrow it down. We got all the raw data and we had him narrow down, and we actually excluded a ton of things that were not right on top of this location. Like, we wanted to be very, very careful just to have what was literally right on top of this location. So he created a geolocation fence, which...
The location you're talking about is Miss Yearty's condo?
Yes,
Okay.
It is Miss Yearty's condo, that area. So he was able to find, essentially, just to summarize a couple of things, where Mr. Wade would call Miss Willis at midnight, something like that. And then all of a sudden his phone would travel, and you can actually watch it. When you do the live Cellhawk, the app, it's pretty cool. You can actually watch the phone travel, and it's pinging because you're using it. If you have an app open, your phone's pinging. So my phone's pinging right now because I'm sure I have an app open. So it's pinging from his house all the way down to the condo at midnight, 1 a.m. And he calls her when he gets there. And then it goes silent for 4 or 5 hours. And then, early in the morning hours, he starts pinging again, driving back, and then he texts her when he gets home. So, and
This is before he gets hired in November of 21.
Yes.
Okay. But you were able to find out that they were texting each other
Oh, yeah.
prior to November 1st of 21.
Yes.
How
and
did you find that data? Is that anything you've produced to us?
That is, so the CellHawk data actually analyzes that, so you can see, we just summarized 2021, so approximately 12,000 interactions, that's voice and texts for the year of 2021. And again, remember, 2021, he didn't get the contract until November of that year, so most of 2021, he's not under contract. Over 2,000 voice calls, almost 10,000 text messages.
If it were me in court, I would have played that live CellHawk app showing that phone traveling at all hours of the night, notwithstanding the fact that they just said Brother Wade never stayed overnight at the Hapeville Love Nest. And I would have showed it to the judge during the closing arguments on the motion that took place on live TV that took place a couple of weeks ago. And so, what Sister Merchant is talking about is the information from their investigator, who states in his affidavit attached to this heat map that, quote, specifically on September the 11th, 2021, Brother Wade's phone left the Doraville area and arrived within the geofence located on the Dogwood address, i.e. the Hapeville Love Nest, at 10:45 p.m. The phone remained there until September the 12th, 2021 at 3:28 a.m., at which time the phone traveled directly to the towers located in East Cobb at Brother Wade's home at approximately 4:05 a.m. And records demonstrate that he sent a text message at 4:20 a.m. to Sister Fani. Additionally, on November the 29th, 2021, Brother Wade's phone was pinging on the East Cobb Towers near his residence, and following a call from Sister Fani at 11:32 p.m. telling him to come see about your girl, if you know what I mean. While the call continued, his phone left the East Cobb area just after midnight and arrived within the geofence located on the Dogwood address, i.e. the Hapeville Love Nest, at 12:34. At 12:43 a.m. on November the 30th, 2021, the phone remained there until 4:55 a.m., end quote. In other words, a bona fide booty call ensued. Oh, but anyway, y'all, let me stay focused, because at this point, I will say that there are a lot of discrepancies in Brother Wade and Sister Fani's recitation of the facts surrounding all of this mess. And I will come back in part 2 when I will pick up the rest of this mess and uncover even more discrepancies in the testimony. But at this point, as I will say on this channel, there seems to be a dead cat on the line somewhere, honey child, because I don't know what else to call this but lies, lies, lies. Allegedly. Because the math just ain't mathing. But what do you think? I mean, Sister Fani and Brother Wade declared and decreed through sworn testimony on the witness stand in a court of law in and for the county of Fulton that the relationship did not start until 2022, and that Brother Wade never spent the night at the Hapeville Love Nest. But we have phone records proved up under oath and affidavit of the custodian of records for Brother Wade's cell phone carrier, AT&T, reflecting that his phone is at the Hapeville Love Nest on numerous occasions after midnight in 2021. And so, please let me know what you think by leaving your comments in the comments section below. And I hope you'll also give me a big thumbs up. And I hope you'll also consider donating to this video and my entire channel ministry by donating to theprofessorblackmore.com Cash App. And I hope you'll also subscribe to my YouTube channel and set your notifications so you'll be notified whenever I come back with more hot tea from the church house, the courthouse, and everywhere else, honey child. And when I come back with part 2 of this podcast episode, as we wait to see what the judge is going to do with this case, and as we struggle to ascertain if Sister Fani and Brother Wade lied on the witness stand. And please also follow me on TikTok and Instagram.